All right, welcome back to IDK Garden Journal. Today is March the 27th. It's a Thursday. I don't know if I made a video yesterday, but anyway, it was either yesterday or the day before. So I feel like in the last video I said we were supposed to get some rain. We did not get any rain. So as far as what I've done today and what's going on, I watered these ones that are in the ground. I had not watered those in anticipation of rain. So I went ahead and watered those by hand. Lesson learned there is the weatherman don't always know what they're talking about. So unless they say for sure it's going like thunderstorm, maybe don't count solely on them to be 100% accurate. And the other thing is that with watering, it's hard to overwater when you're in ground like this. You can, but it's better to overwater and let the water drain out than to underwater if you have good draining soil, which I do. So as you can see, all of these collards are still looking good. I went through and snipped off most of the yellow leaves, I believe the day before yesterday. So everything's nice and green, standing tall. Same with the strawberries, everything's nice and green, standing tall. I'm really surprised that these ones over here, these are not planted. They're just bare root strawberries that I pulled out of the ground. And they're still alive, so I'm gonna plant them and probably give them away as gifts. But so it's looking like I'm gonna end up with probably 10 strawberry plants from, I think I planted 3 last year, 3 or 4, so that's cool. And there's more still popping up. Like there's one right there popping up. Once that one gets a little stronger, I'm gonna pull that out and transplant it also. Blueberries looking better and better. This kale is doing pretty well. Same with this blueberry. I'm gonna get this cane out of here. This cane is clearly not gonna be productive. So I'm actually gonna snip this out in a second with my loppers. Today I just finished doing a couple of things. Number one, I mulched this garlic, which I had been saying I was gonna do for a long time. And then I went ahead and covered it with this white mosquito netting is basically what it is. But I learned about let me keep the camera on this. So I learned about there's an insect that will come and just eat all of your alliums. Well, it doesn't eat it, but what it does is it's like a fly. It comes, it lays eggs, and the larvae that hatch from the eggs, they eat your alliums. The alliums is just garlic, onions, shallots, scallions, leeks, all of those ones that have these green shoots on top, and a bulb at the bottom that you eat. Usually they're very pungent and aromatic. And all up until I learned about this insect the other day, I've been saying I want to grow a bunch of these, and I am going to use them as pest control, and I am going to do that. But I've learned that you have to prevent. You really want to prevent this this insect. It's called the allium leaf miner, and it's called a leaf miner because the larvae around this time, March and April, the adults come and they'll lay their eggs around these alliums. Then the larvae hatch maybe a month or so later. I don't know how long they take, but the larvae hatch, then they crawl up to the top of the thing, your shoots, and it starts eating from the top, and then it works its way down the shoot, down, and then it actually ends up in the bulb. So when you harvest these bulbs, if you have an allium leaf miner problem or infestation, then there will be worms and little larvae all down in the bulbs. And also, they just sorry, it was a bee. And also, that's if your plant even survives that long, because once they start eating down through the shoots, they take all the vitality out of all the shoots. So, like these are standing up real strong right now, strong and tall. These garlic. If I had a leaf miner problem, after the larvae hatch, they would all just be laying down flat on the ground. And at first, it looks like you're not giving them enough water, but then it ends up, it becomes apparent that it's you have that leaf miner. But by the time you realize it, if you realize it that way, it's way too late. If you catch it early enough, and there's a way you can look, the bite marks that the larvae leave are very distinct. So if you catch it early enough, you can actually, because the larva takes a few days. I'm guessing a few days for the larva to eat all the way down to the bulb. So if you catch it soon enough, you can just cut off that shoot, and hopefully you'll cut that shoot off and remove it while the larva is still above your cut. So you want to cut that shoot off right at the bottom, and just remove or burn or compost that the entire shoot, and hopefully that'll save your bulb. That's if you do it early enough. So, but these would devastate crops. Like everything, all the research I read said that like once this thing hits, like if they hit a bed like this, they will eat and kill all of these plants. It's not like something where, your plants end up really weak, or they only get half of them, or a quarter of them, or most of them. Like they're gonna hit you for 90 to 100% of your alliums. And I saw this was stories being told by folks that were they were like, hey, they had like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of onions or shallots or whatever allium in question. So the good thing is the adults that lay the eggs, they only fly for about 2 or 3 months. So I think that it's like from March until May, that's when they're flying and laying eggs. So I just need to keep this covered up for that long. And then I can remove this cover and just let them do their thing, because they won't have the opportunity to lay those eggs. So I'm going to keep this cover on for the next 2 or 3 months. I do need to water this. Also, I think I mentioned that at the beginning, but I did put some mulch on top of that compost that I applied a couple of days ago. Oh, great! So I'm seeing a bunch of bees out here, which is awesome. Bees are going to start pollinating these flowers, making sure all these flowers turn into nice blueberries for me. Same thing with the roses. They're going to make sure that any rose buds end up being flowers. And there's a lot of them. And it's exciting because I had a beehive over there near my compost pile on the other side of the fence, but it died. It didn't die. The bees migrated. The bees left the hive, which is normal. They do that quite often. But now I don't have a hive anymore, so I'm relying on just the woods and just this surrounding forest over there and just ecosystem to just bring pollinators to the garden. But last year I didn't have to worry about enough pollinators, or maximum amount of pollinators, because I had the bees right over there, and they're the master pollinators. They're not the only pollinators out there, that exist, but they're wonderful pollinators, and they're hardworking, and they're, one hive will have 30, 40,000 bees in it. So they were really doing their job. The other thing I did yesterday was I made this. This is a sifting screen. It's just a box made out of 2x4s, reclaimed, i.e. I found it for free. And I just stapled some chicken wire, quarter-inch chicken wire, quarter-inch holes, chicken wire on the bottom. So then I just dump dirt in there, and I can sift out all of the big chunks of bark and all of that stuff. And I end up with a nice fine mix of soil. And I did that. The reason I need that fine soil is because I started some seedlings, and I needed it. And seedlings, you can start them in, there's a few different types of potting soil. Seedling starter mix. But they all, one characteristic that they have to have in common is that they have to be, there can't be big chunks. There can't be big chunks of anything in your seedling mix. So this is my seedling mix. It's about 2 parts of the same old cheap potting mix, sifted though. So the fine particles from that potting mix, and then 1 part of peat moss, which is just like a inert medium. It's very fine. Inert meaning it doesn't have any life or nutrients or anything in it. It's just something. It's just like a medium. I don't know. It's just like a substance for it to grow in, for the roots to grow in. And that's because seeds have, any kind of plant seed is going to have all of the nutrients that it needs for the first part of its life. So if you put too much nutrients in the seedling, in the soil that you started in, it's going to be overloaded with nutrients, and it can actually hinder or stop it from from growing into a healthy plant. So that's why I couldn't just use the potting soil, because that has a lot of nutrients in it. So right now I have it in this tray. These are actually 4 packs. I don't know, packs, 4 plugs, and all 4 of these I've planted. What you call them, Joe? Marigolds. I got 4 different varieties of marigolds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so that's gonna give me 16 marigolds times 2, which is gonna be 32 marigold plants. And marigolds are just good for biodiversity. They attract predators of predatory insects that eat aphids, that eat there's something called white cabbage moth. They eat a lot of the insects that would otherwise eat my plants. So they have those insects. The marigolds put off a smell that those insects don't like, and they also their roots put off some sort of chemical that stops nematodes from procreating, right? So the nematodes won't lay eggs, and I don't think that their eggs can survive when the chemical that these marigolds put off from their roots is present in that particular soil. So I'm going to put a couple of these into my my big rose pots, and hopefully that'll prevent those prevent those detrimental nematodes from growing in those pots. I'm gonna be quite frankly, I don't know exactly what a nematode is, but I know that ever since I started gardening, there have been people have talked about nematode. I think it's just like certain kinds of worms and stuff like that, but I could be wrong. Now what I'm doing now is, instead of watering these from the top, I'm actually bottom watering these, which is when you just put them in a tray. In this case, I'm using, hold on, I gotta set this phone down. You put them in a tray, which in this instance, I'm using, come on, fam. I'm using, all right, y'all just gonna have to look at the table for right now. So for this one, I'm using the tops of 2 large Rubbermaid containers that I bought at Lowe's because they were free. They do make, so these are, if you see, I picked up, these are all 4 packs, and they're inside of this one large tray. Now, some of these trays have holes in the bottom, and some of them don't. If this one did not have holes in the bottom, then I would have just poured the water right into this tray. But both of these do happen to have holes in the bottom, so I'm not able to, let me just fill this back up. So I have to put them in this larger tray. And so what's going to happen now is that all of these plugs are going to soak up all the moisture that they need from the bottom, and that's going to make the roots, hopefully the seeds that I put in here are going to germinate. And once they germinate, the roots that go downward will be stronger, because they're actually is encouraging them to develop and grow downwards into the soil, because they're searching for water. Versus if I water this from the top, like, they don't have to go anywhere to get the water that they need, which is good from a standpoint of them getting enough water. But I can do that just by watering them. But it's not good because the roots don't have to get strong or develop or go anywhere and in order to get enough water. They're just getting water just dumped on them. So they'll still germinate, but they just won't have a very strong root system. So this I did today. Started these seed trays for a bunch of marigolds. I'm excited about these, and I'm actually going to do this. I got a bunch of marigold seeds, so I'm going to do this every week. I'm going to grow 16 marigolds, or maybe every 2 weeks or something. That way I'll have enough marigolds to merry-go-round. That was a joke. I don't think I've done anything else. Definitely haven't done anything else. So, I guess we can look at my roses. I don't know how long it's been, but this rose, more and more foliage. It's doing great. Probably middle of next month, I'll give it some food. I haven't watered this since since it got rain. I've just been letting the rain water it, because I know that these roses, they like to be soaked really good, and then they like to dry out for a little while, and then they like to be re-soaked. They don't like to get watered like every single day. Oh, this is the other thing I did. So that bare root, I have a bare root rose. It came in that container. It's a Don Juan rose, big red rose, and grab this gem. Here we go. Got this from Sam's Club. Climbing Don Juan. Very fragrant, free-blooming, deep red rose with dark, glossy green foliage. A handsome and ambitious climber. 30 to 35 petal count. I don't know what a petal count means, but anyway, this is my first time working with a bare root rose. So it comes with just a bare root in this tube, and then it's packed with all of this. It looks like sawdust, maybe. I don't know what this is, but just a bunch of wooden something around it. It's kind of a little bit moist. And what you have to do to get them started is you want to soak them in water for 8 to 12 hours. And then you just, it's right here on it. Here's the instructions. So remove all of the packing material from the bush roots. Did that. Then you want to soak it in the water for 8 to 12 hours. Did that. Well, I'm doing that right now. So in a few hours, I'm gonna do this step. Dig a hole. The same thing I did with the other ones. Actually, I'm gonna put this in a container though. The same size container, twice as deep in the diameter as the root. Blah 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 blah. I'm gonna do the same thing with about 2 parts potting soil, 1 part compost. Maybe 3 parts potting soil, 1 part compost. Bam, fill in the remaining. So anyway, pack down well. I didn't pack down the other ones, but this should be okay. Water soil thoroughly by soaking the area well. Yeah, so next video, this will be done. I'll have that, and I guess probably by sometime next year, I'll actually start to get flowers. Those are some pots that I got for like $2 or $3 a piece. They're pretty big. They're really big, actually. You know, hold on. This is my hand. I got pretty big hands, so that's about 2 feet by, I'm gonna say 18 inches. So I'm gonna put my aloe vera. Oh, I got to update on the aloe vera too. But that pot, which is the same size as my this mature, it's not mature, but this young Don Juan rose, I'm gonna put the other one in here too. Also the aloe vera, so I did some research, and it was way too it doesn't like direct sun. Well, not that it doesn't like it, but the reason that it was getting all brown like this is because it's that's what happens when it gets direct, when it goes from not much sunlight, which is where it was before, to a bunch of direct sunlight overnight. So I moved it over here, so it's going to get partial sunlight, partial shade, and it should be okay here. It says aloe vera do like a little bit of shade, so we'll keep an eye on this. It's still elevated to promote drainage. We'll keep an eye on this and see if I can get it to turn back that bright green color. I'm going to use those other 2. I still got 2 more aloe veras that are way too big for the little pot that size. If you see that green pot, little handheld size pot. So I'm going to use those that's what I'm going to use these big these big black pots for. So I just moved that aloe vera today, so we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, and that's all. So I'm pretty sure I already explained the 2. So I did decide that I'm going to use that big bed I know I already explained how I'm going to make that big bed a heavy watering bed, and that small bed is going to be a light watering bed, a more drier bed. So tomorrow, I don't have time today, I got to get going, but tomorrow is 1:30. I'm going to build a trellis in that big bed in preparation for in preparation for the the pole beans and the cucumbers that I'm gonna put in there. So that's all. 20 minutes down. See you next time.